All right, so tell me a little bit about your ball strike. So you said you got back issues. You're fused in your lumbar.
L5, yeah. That's
L5.
fine.
Okay, so pretty low.
And that, I guess the main thing is one issue, sometimes I just get too steep and I dig it in. Those
Okay.
are the ones that.
So you tend to chunk it on those, or?
Yeah, not really chunk it. They're just not going to go the distance.
Okay.
But basically, I've been doing pretty good. I thought.
Yeah?
I've been hitting it good. I've been playing well.
Oh, good.
But I did what you said not to. I play in a skins game every 3 times a week, and
Oh, cool.
every now and then the old come on over, with trying to release with your body, and that's kind of the way I was taught.
Sure.
And that just hurts like heck, and back to the ice pack.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's have you hit a couple. We'll put a
Okay.
couple on video, and we'll take a look and see what's going on.
Okay. It's beautiful. Just loosen up a little.
Got pretty good club head speed there.
Hit another one?
Yeah, I'm just getting 2 videos, and then we'll see what's going on.
Okay.
That's where you said when you start to kind of miss it, you open up
Well,
and kind of
yeah,
hit a little pull hook.
Or I get a little steep just once in a while, but I think I know why. I think I bend my knees too much, and then I might go up a little, and then I come back. I don't know. It seems like if I give my key, keep right shoulder back, and then keep it there.
Yeah.
That key, I make a good swing.
Well, I'll make this simple for you, because these types of things are important when you're out playing and you hit a couple like that, because you brought that up a couple times. So clearly that's a shot that you kind of fear, that you stick it, you bring the club in too steep and probably take a trench or something, although you hadn't taken any divots here. But
No.
When that happens, you got to think about what things can cause the club to continue working down. Okay? So it's really, really simple. There are things that steepen the swing, and there are things that shallow the swing, and they're opposites of each other typically. So in the downswing, what you have that can steepen the swing. So you mentioned you think it's because your knees change, right?
Yeah.
Typically,
I think I'm going down after the ball, but I don't know.
it wouldn't have anything to do with your knees typically.
Okay.
When your knee, I'm going to exaggerate something. But let's just say as you were coming down, you really flexed your knees a lot. When you flex your knees, what actually tends to happen is that your spine becomes more upright, right? Because you're going to do this. You're not going to squat down and you'd stick the club 6 inches in the ground, right?
Yeah.
So as you squatted down, your spine would become more upright.
Okay.
Your spine being upright can be a shallowing move, because now if you were doing this, your club would start to shallow out because it would swing in to out. And by the opposite of that, if you were bent over at 90 degrees, you would swing very, very steep, right?
Okay, yeah.
So spine angle impacts angle of attack, swing plane path, all that stuff. But typically when people start talking about hitting it into the ground, they take steep divots. The only thing that really causes that is some sort of pushing motion that will make the club continue down on a path too steep. Okay, so bar your club for a second. So if we're coming down really steep, let me do this first. If I go left arm only,
Okay.
and I get my shoulder to stay in the same spot, how deep is my angle of attack? It's very shallow,
Yeah,
right? Just
real
barely
shallow.
brushing the grass.
Yeah.
So I would never, ever be able to take a deep divot like this.
No.
Right? How come?
Because your bottom of your swing, you're bottoming out the same place.
Okay, exactly, like a grandfather clock, right? I got one pivot point here, and the steepest part of, or the bottom of the arc, is going to be the furthest point from my shoulder down to the ground in a straight line. So as I go straight down, that's where the bottom of my swing arc is going to be, and then it's going to immediately start working back up. So with your left arm, you don't really have, if I'm just keeping my arm straight, there's no angles to change where that club bottoms out. However, on the other side, and my right side, I've got 3 angles that I'm creating. One, shoulder. As I elevate my shoulder, raising my arm, I now have an angle that can work down. I have an angle in my arm that can work down, and I have an angle in my wrist that can work down.
Okay.
The only thing that can do that with your left side is your left thumb. You can push against the shaft with your thumb.
Okay.
Or you can use all three of these really powerful right angles. Typically, it's this guy.
Because, yeah.
Right? Because you've loaded it up going back, and we're all right-handed, and so you want to fire that thing coming down. So when you typically take a deep divot, understand that 99% of the time, it's because you're doing too much with your right side at the wrong time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the swing now, see what's going on. So, let's start with face on here on the left. Setup looks pretty good there. As we go back, start standing up right away.
Standing up a little bit.
Yeah. Make a nice big turn though. And then we start to open up the right shoulder. So you see how this angle, the shaft angle here, is starting to get wide. At this point, ideally the shaft would be over
Right
here.
there, yeah.
But as you start, so what this means...
Already losing my leg.
Exactly, but as you're losing your lag, what causes you to lose your lag? What causes it?
Right here.
Typically, right? Something that can push the shaft away from you because you're trying to widen this angle. So if you didn't know anything about golf and you had your arm like this and you went like this, you're going to cast it. The club's going to get wider, the angle's going to get wider.
Yeah.
So going back to what you were saying about getting steep, this is the first indication that it's probably going to be your right side that's causing you to take those deeper divots. Then as we come down, it's starting to lose the lag there. So at that point, I would still want to see the shaft almost parallel to the ground when your hand is right here. So, but you can see when that hand is in front of your thigh, you've already lost all of this angle already. So again, losing a little bit of lag, which means most likely pushing against the shaft, and that's causing you to cast it. And then as you come through, really nice looking impact position, a lot of great things going on there. Not too bad there. That I don't like seeing.
No chicken.
The chicken wing's not bad, but see how your right knee is kicked in? So now I know that you're pushing off your right leg to boot.
Oh, okay.
And if you've already got a fused L5, L5, L4, L5, L6, okay.
L5, S1.
Okay, L5, S1.
Yeah.
So as you're doing this, this is going to put a lot of pressure on your low back, right?
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we keep that pelvis a little bit more stable. We'll fix that. But they're all kind of tied together. When you tend to use one, if you're using your right arm or your right shoulder a little bit, you'll also tend to use your right leg. And so all of those things kind of work together. But the other big thing here is, you know, when you miss it, like you said, it's probably going a little bit left, right? That's when you're going to hit a miss. When you let everything open, your hips, your shoulders, and release the club, that's how you hit it left of left, okay? So that's what's happening here. So if we just kept that right heel on the ground and kept this knee back, stop pushing off the right, we would not only save your back, but also make it virtually impossible for you to hit it left.
Okay.
So but otherwise, really nice looking swing. Now let's take a look at line. Okay, so we know we're standing up a little bit.
Coming up a little.
And as you can see, the club's going to get inside during the takeaway and this right arm is folded. So this is the left side push. So the reason you're standing up is you go back. So you're here and you start doing this right away, right?
Okay.
You're pushing from the left side and that's making your shoulders turn flat. And as your shoulders turn flat, you're going to come up out of your posture. Typically when that happens, most golfers are going to then push really hard from the right. You're a good enough golfer, you're not pushing that hard, but you're presetting yourself into a position where you're going to want to do that. So we got a lot of wrists there. Nice position at the top, but then there's the arms firing there. So we got a few little things all happening at once here. So impact position's pretty close, but we're a little bit closed with our hips still. So we didn't lead with our lower body there, right? Leading with your lower body is a shallowing move. So again, you're thinking you're hitting, coming down too steep on the ball, you need to add shallowing moves to your swing, right? So if I'm rotating, then the club is going to be pulled through the hitting area. So in other words, let's just say I was doing this and I just stuck my club in the ground and kept doing this, right?
Yeah.
Now I turn while I'm trying to do that. All of a sudden that club can't work down in the dirt because I'm adding rotation to the swing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like you talked about the hip, loading the right hip. You're going back and you're rotating so it stays in the same.
Yep, that's how we're going to load up going. Excuse me, how we're going to load up going back. Let's see what else is going on here. Release, not bad there. So really, you just got a few little things that kind of all add up together. One, as you're coming down now, the club actually drops under the plane right there. So as it comes a little bit under, it's coming from a little bit from the inside. just a little too much. I'd say you're probably 3, 4, 5 degrees into out. So when you're doing that, I don't remember where this ball, I never really watched the ball, but this one I think went a little bit left.
Yeah.
Little draw there.
Yeah.
So now what you're doing is not showing me steepening stuff in your swing. You
Okay.
actually have. And again, I didn't see you take any divots, so I was going off what you said.
So it was
But it's
pushing.
a couple little things. So let's
Okay.
think of it this way.
Okay.
One, if you're coming down steep, you're most likely using the right arm, but you also don't use your lower body to help you get out of the way, right? So when you
Right.
cut into impact, your hips are just barely open.
Okay.
They need to be at least 30 degrees open at that point.
Okay.
If they're not, then your hips didn't help bring the club down. And if your hips didn't help bring the club down, what else are you going to use? Your arms, you don't have a choice, right? So that's where your steepening stuff comes in.
Okay.
So imagine, if you're out playing and you play a round of golf and you get tired, your lower body stops working less and less, then that steepening stuff is going to start happening more and more because you're just getting fatigued, not getting out of the way. Your lower body has to initiate and get everything out of the way. Also, as you mentioned, or as you saw on there, as you drop the club a little bit under the plane, you're too shallow now. So it's not so much what you were thinking in terms of, I'm sticking the
Okay.
club in the dirt. It's as you're coming in underneath, how would I get the club? Let's just pretend I'm going to make a fake path here. Let's just say I want the club to come in on this path,
Okay.
but it's coming in like this a little bit, right?
Yes.
If I turned my hips, what would happen to that club?
You go in, or the club would go out.
Exactly. So as I added rotation to it to help bring the club out on top, I'm going to exaggerate this, out on top of the plane. But if I don't rotate my hips at all and use my arms, I'm going to do this. Right?
Okay.
And then if I don't shift my weight, then I'm going to chunk it.
Okay.
So instead, we need weight shift, hip rotation, look how it brings the club out on top of the plane, and then we release the club down on top of the ball instead of coming way from the inside.
Okay.
So, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So little things that are adding up to that miss. I mean, you got a great swing, you hit the ball fine, but it's little things that are going to cause you trouble because you're not going to understand why you keep hitting kind of the same shots over and over again. So let's do a couple things. I want to have you hit like 10 balls, which I normally don't ever do, but I want to watch you hit 10 balls, and I want to see if any of that stuff pops up, because I want to see when it happens. I want to show you, because it'll be very, very easy to see what's going on there. But otherwise, I want to see kind of a tendency with what's going on with your ball flight, because we only need to make like a few little adjustments.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it to a degree on ball flight.
Okay. So I'll just go straight out.
Yeah,
right
that's
at
fine.
the pin. It's fine. Huh?
That one's dead straight.
Yeah.
Also dead straight. Well, maybe
Little.
a foot of draw.
Not bad.
Baby pool. There's a little pull draw. Not bad though.
Pull. Yeah.
There's actually a pull
Might have been
draw.
where I was looking, huh?
That's okay. Yeah. So now that shot there,
Yeah.
that started pretty close to where you were lined up and ended up, let's call it 5 yards left of your target, right? Or
Yeah.
where you were lined up. What do you think happened there?
Felt like it was closed a little more.
What do you mean?
The club face
Okay, what would cause it to close?
coming over it a little bit.
Okay, so that's what I was asking. Most people think when they hit a pull draw, what they see, by the time you catch the flight of the ball on a shot like that, it's already left of the target line, right?
Okay.
So our eyes see that and we think, oh, we must be coming over the top of it. The ball actually started right of your target line, marginally,
Okay.
and drew back.
Okay.
If it started right of your
It
target
just
line,
felt like it was hanging out on a little bit.
so when you see that shot, it's not because you came over it. It's actually because you came too far from the inside.
Okay.
But the club face was shut in relationship to the path.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
wanted to see. Like if you hit 10, 15 balls, what's going to be your biggest tendency? Because I got like 6 things that I could tweak here. But because you're hitting the ball really well, I don't want to go and reinvent the wheel. I do want to protect the back, obviously. Yeah. But I also want to help you understand when you see something like that, most people have the exact opposite idea of what they think they did.
It's coming, yeah.
So,
it's coming in too much.
You're too much from the inside, and part of the reason for that is because you're just using your arms primarily going back, and then your body turn catches up. So at least you make a good turn, but you do it late. So in other words, when we looked at your takeaway, you folded your arm and your wrist right away, right?
Okay.
Which means your body didn't move much at all. So the takeaway looks like this. And then as you go up, then you finish everything. But what you're doing is you're loading your arms and getting them into a position where they're really active, right? And your body isn't really doing as much as it should. So then as you come down and you rip the arms down, the body, because it's not rotating, it doesn't get the hands and club back out on top of the plane. So instead what we want to do, we want to do two little things. We want to try and start getting the body to help out more during the backswing.
Okay.
So that you're not just ripping the club back and folding this arm right away, because then you're going to fire immediately, and that's where the steepness is going to come from when you start taking these tip divots, and you're also going to always have the club a little bit too far from the inside, and that's what's going to create that shot. It's not a huge miss, right?
Yeah.
5 yards left, but it's still going to be there, and then probably with the longer clubs, it's going to start to be a little bit more exaggerated, right? So more body going back, so we're going to keep this straight the whole time going back. And then the second thing we're going to do, now that we're going to use our core and our trunk to help move the club back to the top, we're going to use that to help bring us down. Weight shift and hip rotation, and you'll see, like if my hands are here because I don't turn my hips, versus, now look, I didn't move my hands at all, but look where they are. They've moved back out in front of me and on top, instead of staying here and underneath. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, set up for me. Got a ball. Now what we're going to do, two things first. We're going to keep this straight, and you're going to turn your body to move the golf ball. There you go, perfect. As you're doing that, I don't want your hips to move very much, because we're going to start loading this part of your body up. As we
don't let the hips move much?
Not at first, right? Because you need to stretch some muscles here that we need to help use this to bring the club back down.
Okay.
There you go.
Straight, keep it straight.
Yep.
Straight but relaxed.
Yep, exactly. Keep turning, and I want you to feel some stretch here. Get all the way up to the top now with the club. Okay, relax your arm. There you go.
Okay.
Now, shift back to the left. Open up your hip. Turn your belt buckle. I'm going to put a ball over here. And on each swing, your belt buckle is going to be pointing right here.
Okay. So when I'm
there
to there?
As you shift over, you got to get your weight over. Keep your shoulder down. Okay, now stay right there. Now look where the club is.
Yeah.
It's out on top and your hands are out on top. Now if you closed your hips again like you were, that allows your hands to get back in here and they get a little bit stuck and the club comes a little bit from the inside.
Okay, so there, now when I get my hip, it comes out.
It doesn't have a choice, right? Because your arms are attached to your body and your hips are moving your body, your upper body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're going to change the path just a few degrees by adding a little bit of rotation with your hips and core coming down. And going back, we're going to start keeping it wider. The reason we're going to keep it wider is that if your arm doesn't fold, your body has to then move the club. And if your core is moving the club, you're going to stretch these muscles we need to use in the downswing. Does that make sense?
And they can stretch. So
don't have to exaggerate it. We're just going to turn, keep it straight, and then just go up normal from there. Down, shift, post to turn your hip, turn your belt buckle. There you go. And then the club is going to feel to you more on top of the ball instead of more from the inside. We're literally talking this much, so we're making a big exaggeration, but you'll get
just that much open. I'm not used to that, right?
No, you were really square at impact, like maybe just 5 degrees open with your hips. You need to be about 30 plus to help bring the club all the way back down to impact.
Then turn.
Go back to address.
Okay.
So remember I said when you were turning flat with your shoulders, it's causing your head to pop up? It's because your left shoulder is swinging flat. Your left shoulder, when you go back, is going to go down. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Now, stay in it. Finish your turn. Now, hips coming down. Keep that left shoulder down. There you go.
Okay.
Now look at the club. Watch what happens. Flatten your shoulder again. Look what happens to your club.
Okay.
Swings to the inside, right?
Yeah. I can see that.
There you go. So it brings it out on top.
Yeah.
And then as you get your hips all the way open, the club comes down on top of the ball. Make sense?
Yeah.
There you go.
So want to start opening right now, but I gotta get that
There you go.
right down.
There you go.
And then
Shift, keep that left shoulder down, post, there you go. Look what it does to the club when you do that. Every single time that your shoulder gets flat, the club tips, there you go. See how it tips?
Yeah.
There you go, now it's right on top. And then from there you just release
see
it.
it better too.
Bingo. Nice. Really good, really good.
Wow.
So we gotta take this in steps. So the first thing you're gonna have to think about, because you're not used to it, because you're used to pushing your arm across and that makes your shoulder flat, is that when you're going back, you've got to turn your shoulders perpendicular to your spine. So 90 degrees. This is not 90 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So that feels like that left shoulder goes down to you. I don't want you to tilt it.
Okay.
We're just turning it neutral to our spine. So that's the
good.
first thing we're gonna do. There you go.
Is
Make
that,
sure
that right?
It's good, but make sure you shift to your right leg as you
Okay.
go back. There you go. Now left hip, left leg, and yeah, there you go. And perfect. Now really, so you can get your hips really open. That's great. That's plenty. We don't need. There you go. So again, just kind of out to this ball, like 30 degrees is a great starting point.
Okay. So get that thing down.
Turn. There you go. Step and release. Good.
That's really hard to get used to.
Yeah, it's gonna feel different. Okay. Finishing your turn. Get all the way to the top. Good. Stay in your posture. Shift to the left. Keep the left shoulder down. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
There.
And then see how the club's way out on top and in
Yeah.
front of you instead of coming in from here? And again, we're exaggerating this a little bit. We need to change 5 degrees of path. It's not that big, but there you go. Good.
I see.
Bingo. Bingo. Really nice. Let me keep doing that drill. I'm going to video a couple and we're going to compare them. Keep that left shoulder down as you start your transition back down to the ball. There you go. Bingo. Take a quick look. Trying to get out of the sun here. Okay. Now, say your head doesn't move anymore?
Yeah.
So your head,
Didn't raise up.
no, it stayed right there, right? So now you see how your shoulders are much steeper than what you're used to. And we'd still probably get them a hair steeper, but that's really good there. It's enough
We're
to change the
good,
plane
yeah.
and path. And now, as you come down, we're still a little bit under, but we can fix that pretty easy. But now look at your hips. I can see your left calf behind your right, whereas before they were almost matching each other because your hips
you
weren't
can
open. And then right there, that's good. When you made it natural, the club's coming out much more on top. And now here's where we really want to check. And so I'd say the last 6 inches of that look much more square. We're close there. Shoulders are a little bit more square now. They were almost a little shut before. And the hips, we can start to see that left butt cheek over there. So that's pretty darn perfect right there. Okay. So that's all we really need to do to make that subtle little path and plane change to you. Is as you're going back, you're just going to stop picking the club up with your arms and pushing with your arms, right? Because that's why your shoulders are flat, and that's why you're losing your head. Your head's coming up. Then from there, as you feel like your left shoulder's down, keep it down. So you normally wanted to do.
I want to come up with it.
But look what that does to the path and plane.
I see.
It drops it immediately, right?
Yeah.
But as you feel like this left shoulder, I always tell people, especially for people who struggle with this, that your left shoulder should always feel lower than your right the entire time, all the way to impact.
Okay.
So instead of this, it's this. And now as I come into impact, my shoulders, of course, are going to be steeper because the right hand's lower on the club and I'm going to have secondary tilt and so on. But when you do this, you're just dumping the club to the inside. So it's going to feel left shoulder low going back, left shoulder staying low coming down.
That was hard for me to keep it staying low.
Yeah, you want to tilt, right?
Yeah.
So most golfers, when they start developing these compensatory movement patterns, they're trying to recover from something or whatever. And so, but again, this is why I brought up at the beginning, why did you think you hit that pull hook? Because a lot of times, here's the most ironic thing about golf is if you just did the exact opposite of what you thought you did, you'd probably fix the problem, right?
Okay.
So what happens when people start thinking that they're hitting a pull hook because they're smothering it coming over, which you're definitely not. They start trying to tilt more. Like, oh God, I gotta swing more out here. I gotta stay back more. I gotta tilt more because it feels like I'm swinging out that way. And then you just exasperate the problem. You're fixing the problem by looking at the symptoms. That's why when I give a lesson, I rarely look at ball flight. I look at the camera first because that doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And then I go back and say, well, that body movement is gonna create this specific ball flight. And so I could see right away with your path being a little bit into out, but everything else being good, that's gonna be your miss.
That's amazing. That shoulder causing me that much issues. But it's just going to be hard. Just have to work at keeping it down.
Well, here's my favorite way to do that. Let me borrow your club for a second. Just hold the club like this. So right now it's 90 degrees to my spine. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So I just want to keep them there. So once I hinge, so if I just turn like this club shaft should always be parallel to the ground. It shouldn't ever change unless I do something funky, right? But as I hinge forward, where should this club be pointing?
Down.
I didn't tilt my shoulders.
No.
And I didn't do this, which is what you were doing, right? You were standing up. It should just rotate 90 degrees to your spine. And then as you come down, it stays on that same plane line as what you're going to feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you just use that club as a simple training aid. You're going to know right away if you're doing it wrong. Bingo. It's pointing right outside the ball, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
you don't need to be quite that steep, but that's the idea.
Okay, but it'd be good to exaggerate.
Yeah.
And then I got to stay down, coming back this way.
Yeah.
When I get to
keep
here.
the left shoulder low, shift, post up, get your hips out of the way. No, you gotta get all your weight over on the left side. Okay. There you go. And open up your hips to the ball. Okay. And as you open your hips, that'll bring your shoulders, hold this up here, back to square. So now the shaft should match your feet line.
Okay.
But your hips are going to be 30, 40 degrees open. Yep.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Nice. So now, when you take the arms and the club out of it, and you just focus on how to move your body like you just did there, you didn't make a single mistake. You didn't do this stuff.
No.
You didn't do anything, right? It's so stupidly simple when you take all that stuff out, fix the inside stuff first, and then start stacking the other stuff on it. So if you keep doing this drill, you know that your left shoulder is going to go down, no problem, because it makes sense to do that. You're just turning from an inclined spine position.
Right, I see.
So this is really simple. You just keep doing this, keeping it low, and then left arm, left shoulder still here, shift, post up, release, right arm, club, so on and so forth. Work through the whole system like that.
Okay.
So let's try it with just do it a few more with just the club across your shoulders. Nice. Keep the left shoulder low while you shift and post up and open up the hips. Oh, don't open, look at your chest.
Oh, it just came with it.
There. Shift, post up. Hold it all the way tight against your chest. So this is trying to mimic the shoulder plane, the shoulder angle.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to cheat with that.
Yeah, you can move the shaft wherever you want. Shift, post up. Okay, stay right there. I want you to feel tall so that this is going to feel more parallel to the ground to you. Because remember, if I did this, what's that going to do to my swing plane?
It's going to bring it in.
It's going to shift it horizontally out to the right. That's your into out. We don't need any more of that, right?
Right.
And this is also going to feel really crappy on your lumbar.
Okay. I don't want that.
Relax that shoulder. There you go.
I just got it. It's just been doing it for so long.
Go back, relax your shoulder, and keep it nice and relaxed. There you go. See how simple that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Down with the shoulder. Good. It's okay. Good. To open up those hips all the way. Right there. So now, let's try that with just your arm, just your left arm. Do the same movement. So now when we start stacking things on there, your brain, the focal point, shouldn't change on what you just felt. Just because your arm's sticking out in front of you, ignore that it's there.
Okay.
It has to be moved by your body.
Okay. So
just leave it relaxed like we're to be at a dress.
Okay.
Great.
Like
Make sure you shift your hip over to the right, your weight over to the right.
Okay.
There you go. Good. So if anything, your head has gone from moving up 2 inches to down 1 inch as you go back. So it's a pretty big change.
Yeah. Okay.
Left shoulder down. Left hip. Nice. It's perfect. It's awesome. Nice.
That.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it is. It's just it's going to take me a little while to stay down when I start. That's because I've been doing it so many times the wrong way.
Exactly, and this is why everything that we do on the site is designed to be done indoors.
Okay.
You can do this without ever hitting a single ball and get these movement patterns
yeah.
down. Your brain doesn't know whether or not you're hitting the ball, right? It
Right.
doesn't care. Are you doing the same movement, feeding it the same information, doing it the right way over and over again? And then you can slowly work up to hitting balls. So you can do this drill, you're doing it well already, you just need the repetitions. Then as you add the left arm, keep doing the repetitions. As long as you're doing it right, keep stacking more pieces on there, right? So there's 5 steps to the system. Left arm is the next piece for you, you're doing that fine. If you added the left arm and you started doing this all of a sudden, we'd be like, okay, you gotta go back to body stuff, but you didn't. So now what do? Step 4, add that golf club. So let's grab the club and put it back in the mix. And if this breaks down, that's where we stop and we go back. Left hand only. There you go.
Okay.
Now let's see what happens. Yeah, left shoulder went down, that's great. Perfect. Really nice. All the way to the top. Very good. Shift. Keep that left shoulder low as you're doing that. And release. Awesome. Again.
Try that.
Very good. Again. One more time, go to the top and stop. Look at your club face. It's going like this.
Yeah.
Square.
Right
Relax it.
Okay.
There you go. Still bowed. There you go.
Relax it right there.
Yeah, exactly. Much better. And then release. Nice.
Let me try it again.
Good. Now, when you're doing that, when you're going left arm only, you never, ever, ever open your chest to the target when you're doing these drills. Okay? Step in for a second. So when you're doing this drill, and if I go left arm only,
I don't let it go.
if you turn your chest, not only is that hurting your back that you already got a back issue with, but you're delaying the release of the club because you can drag this hand through there.
Okay.
So every time you do this drill left hand only, as you're coming down, even hitting balls, look where my chest is. Eventually, if I add some speed to it, it'll pull me around, but I'm not opening my chest.
Okay, so never, okay.
You never, ever, ever open your chest.
Okay.
But your chest will get opened as you release the golf club.
Stevie,
Oh, I think he's trying to get your attention.
Steve, the problem I have with my swing, he can't fix.
Okay. Not right now, I can't.
I stand too close to the ball after I hit it.
And your weight's on the ball of your feet at address then. Or you're swinging from the top with your right side. Shift, post up, release, keep your chest pointing down at the dirt. Bingo. But don't try to yank your arm through. You're not pulling the club through, you're releasing the club head. Bingo.
Just release like
Bingo.
right here.
You get all this stuff. This is going to be super easy for you to pick this up. And just let it release. That's why your wrist needs to be soft. You need to have something to set and unhinge, uncock
I
at
had
the
some
bottom.
trouble when I tried to make it soft when I was
You took it more.
back up here. I lost a lot of control because is it too soft? when I do
Yes,
that?
there's a balance point, right? There's a balance point being soft and sloppy,
Okay, I
and
tried
then
to,
tight and rigid.
okay, I tried to
You
get
gotta
it.
find Goldilocks, right?
Sometimes when I do it, I just can't really tell where it's gonna.
Yeah, you don't need to hold it that ridiculously soft. There's got to be a balance between the two.
Okay.
All the way to the top.
Okay.
Good. Shift, down with the shoulder, release. Good. Remember, you don't have to pull the arm through, release the club head at the ball. There you go. But shift first, and you got
Okay.
it. Shift. Good. Relax that arm.
Does it feel like it's more delayed than after the shift?
What do you mean?
Like I'm shifted there now?
Yeah. There you go. Good job with on left shoulder.
Okay.
Open up that hip.
It's open as far as I can.
Okay. And as you post up, you release. Good.
Okay.
You'll kind of feel, I think what you're saying by the delay, if I understand you correctly, is that your arms, you kind of feel like you leave them up there at the top.
Yeah.
You don't bring them down right away. You're used to doing the opposite.
When I turn.
You're used to firing your arms, and your hips literally don't have time to get out of the way. You're trying to move the biggest bone structure in your body. It needs some time to get out of the way. So that's why from the top you focus on shifting and turning your hips, and then you release. Then you worry about your arms. But until then, they're just being told what to do by your hip.
Okay. Still moving.
Yeah, good. Nice. A couple more. Let's put that right hand back on there.
Still a little pushed, a little pulled a little bit.
Yeah. Good that you felt it though. Good. Good. Let's try with the right hand on there. I don't want anything to change. So now that your right hand's on there, you're going to be tempted to pick that club up and set that right wrist. Keep it wide.
Try to keep it wide.
Is your left shoulder pushing out? It needs to go down. There you go. So you feel the difference there?
Yes. I can feel it.
So as soon as you put the right hand on there, you start wanting to do this.
Back to the.
Yeah. Just turn. There you go. Keep turning. Shift, post up, release. Awesome. There you go. Nice. Shift, post up, release. Good. Yeah, it's good. Watch a couple from down here. Let's make sure that plane and path look good.
Did you eat some of that chicken soup for lunch today?
I just,
Don't want that one.
no. I was getting lost focus.
Okay. Make sure as you start down, the left shoulder is staying down in the shot. It's starting to pop up a little
I
bit.
know.
A little better there. Good. Let's try and hit a couple. You don't have to hit them hard at all.
Okay.
I just want you to get used to trying to put these movements together.
I can see that I'm more on top of the ball when I do it right.
Good.
I can see the difference between the two. It's just getting them to, you know what I mean?
Well, it's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So let's just focus on the left shoulder going down during the backswing, and that's it. Nice. Okay, good. Let's try it again. Left shoulder looked good there. Not too bad.
No.
So we're going to tackle things piece by piece. We're just going to focus on the left shoulder during the backswing right now.
Okay.
Okay. See how your chest is opening up here?
Quick.
Right, and that's what's causing that ball, the last couple, to go left.
Okay.
But again, I told you not to focus on anything but that left shoulder.
chest,
So that's
yeah.
the first thing. So your head's
trying to
no
keep
longer popping up during the backswing, so that's the start. But you're still, and this is going to happen when you're going too fast too soon.
Okay.
Your right arm's going to pick the club up right away. Right. So then you're still going to run into the same things, even though your left shoulder looks much better. But if you still get excited with that arm too early, and you create muscle activation, they're awake.
Okay.
They're going to want to fire. And so they're going to fire before you have a chance to shift and turn your hip to help bring the club back on top of the plane. So what you've got to do now that you're trying to hit balls is that you're going to go to the top, basically stop, shift and come down, stop, and then release. Let me borrow the club, I'm not sure what we're talking about here. So go to the top, stop, shift down and stop. And we want to see not this, but this, right? This is changing, getting the club back on top. But once you're here and we can check your hip and the club, then just release, right? Then don't worry about anything else. And then what we're going to do is eventually make this smaller, these pauses smaller and smaller and smaller. But this is going to allow you to go through the whole downswing sequence and check these positions that we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
So go to the top and stop. Left shoulder down, all the way to the top, good. Shift down and stop. Now, you want to be here, which means we need to be there, right? Look at the difference in the shaft.
I know. It's amazing.
It's going to feel weird to you, right?
Yes.
Good. There you go. Now it's on top of the
Thinking
plane.
that big swing is going to hurt.
Stop. Shift. Left. There you go. Now release from there. The club's right on top of the ball. Good. There's
my
it's turning, right? So I don't care about the ball. I care about you getting this first
Okay.
half down.
All right, let's get that
The
first.
ball's easy. We'll fix that in a second.
Those are just all those bad habits.
Yeah. Down with the left shoulder. Good. Shift.
There it is.
There. Left shoulder down. Left shoulder down. Ah, there you go. Look at the difference in the shaft.
Gosh,
There you go.
let me try that again.
Good. There you go. Don't worry about that stuff
Okay.
yet. I mean, I'm sure you hit it fine, but that was, using your chest and all that stuff to come through. So what we would do once
I want to get.
bingo, exactly. So what,
I was
and that's
not taught to turn your chest to the target.
exactly, and that's most people do this, right? And that's what creates all these crazy inconsistencies and issues.
So I never
with your
want to.
spine. You here, as far as I'm concerned with your chest rotation, once you're here at impact, your chest is done.
Okay.
Nothing else is going to happen.
Okay.
The only thing that happens is that your hands keep moving and rotating. The only reason that happens,
Momentum.
there's too much momentum in the
Okay.
club, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
stop. But if you could, the golf swing would be done at impact as far as I'm concerned. So the last thing you'd want to do is keep turning, because that's showing what you're doing before the ball as well. You don't get to the ball, stop, and then turn. It mean if you keep turning through the hitting area, it means you were turning too late in the downswing. And that's going to make the club stay stuck. So anyway,
Okay.
focus on getting down to impact, and we'll worry about the release later.
Okay.
Good. Shift, keep that left shoulder low. Good. Release. Okay, good. We'll worry about that stuff later. The rest of the stuff looks great. Let me check the plane and path. What's going on?
I was just trying to feel how to keep that.
Just remember, if you get lost,
Yeah.
everything with this system design, you take a
Go.
piece off.
Okay.
Take a piece off. So what if you can't figure this out? What would be the first thing you do?
Go back a step.
Put that club across your chest if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, or just take your right hand, whatever.
Okay, I was trying to keep it straight, so my core, and then if I can just keep it. But I can really feel that move when I do it right.
Good.
That's amazing. I mean, how that much difference makes all that difference.
It does. I mean, your feel is going to be radically different, right?
Yeah.
But only for a day. And then tomorrow's going to feel more normal, and the next day's going to feel even more normal, and so on. So that's why you never ever rely on your feel. You rely on what you see on camera.
Okay.
And so when you see your head coming up out of it and flat shoulder turn, all that stuff, you know you're dead. So you just got to go back, grab the club, start working on these little body rotation drills. In a couple of days, this is going to be old hat to you.
Okay, it'll start. Okay.
Yeah, but you need to do the reps, right? Our
Yeah.
goal in every single lesson is 100 reps minimum.
Okay.
100 reps. This is why you don't see my students hit very many balls, because you can't do it right, hitting balls at full speed,
Right.
100 times in a typical lesson. Right? It's going to take a little bit of work. So if we're trying to get 100 perfect reps in a lesson, we got to really be diligent and focused on doing these movements and not just pounding balls. And that's what you need to be focused on. You can hit balls, of course, but you need to make sure that each rep is quality, because otherwise you're just going to reinforce your bad habits.
Okay.
So keep going, left shoulder down. Good.
And it makes her.
Nice. Shift to the left. Left shoulder. Your left shoulder stayed down perfect there. Brings the club down on top. And now let's do one little bonus thing. Here's the simplest way to do this when you're practicing on your own.
Okay.
At this, stay right there. Let go with the right hand because you don't need it. And release. What'd your chest do?
Stayed right there.
Nothing, right?
No.
This is how you start getting the feel of it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't.
There you
Stayed
go.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they mean, cover the ball?
Yeah, that's
Or
how a lot of people
kinda?
describe that. They're keeping their chest in. A lot of times they're popping out because they're pushing off the right leg. But shift, nice. Let go with the right and release. There you go. Don't have to rip it out of there. Just let the
Let it
wrist soften up.
just the.
Yeah, you're trying to kind of muscle it a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. Nice. Shift and post up and release. Great job. There you go. That's how you're going to really start hitting balls.
Okay.
Keeping the right hand longer and longer on there takes some time, because otherwise you'll keep doing
Come.
this every time. You
Okay.
keep ripping that chest through. So hitting balls and letting the right hand come off completely is kind of something you want to spend like a week or two on. Hit a bunch of balls, just let it come off, and you'll be like, oh, this is actually going faster. Typically people don't realize they're holding on so tight and pushing through with the right hand that the club never releases, and they lose all this club head speed. There's a reason VJ and Phil and Freddie, their trailing hands like coming off the club. It's called a release for a reason, right? So that's why I'm having you literally let go of it, so you get the feeling of a freewheeling release of that left wrist.
Okay.
So you can hit balls like that, and we'll keep going.
Okay, should I hit one like that?
Yeah.
Just
Again, don't try to hit it hard, just focus on the movements right now. It's all that matters.
Okay. Wow.
We want to do it in chunks first,
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's okay.
I couldn't resist. That's bad.
That's okay. So we'll go to the top, stop, come down, stop. Make sure our left shoulder's staying in, club's coming out on top. Good. Release the right hand. Good. That's how you want to hit them. Nice. Shift. Release. Nice. There you go.
Okay. I'll try.
Nice. Good. Don't worry about that. You have no idea how to hit the ball yet, with just your left arm, right?
Yeah.
So we got to get the body working first correctly, and that's what we're working on, and that was great. So again, don't care about the ball, they care about the movement. So that result was just fine. Good. Shift. Keep that left shoulder in and release. Okay, stay right there. You straightened your left knee out, but the ball is already 15 yards away.
Yeah.
When you get here and you're doing that stop, this should already be straight and posted up. You're done.
I'm way late.
Exactly. So you kind of did them together. We're missing the whole snap and post-up move. By the time you get this leg to do anything to help you, the ball's already gone. Yeah. That's why we're stopping here. When this left hand is over that right thigh, you're already done. Your lower body's done.
Okay.
So you got to get there first, and then you release the club. Shift, post up. Be solid on that left leg. Flatten that left foot. Smash it into the ground.
Should not let it roll any?
Definitely not.
Keep it.
Yeah, when you're hitting at impact, you want to be flat on that foot and open up the hip. Okay. Open up. Release. There you go. So when you get to here, your body's done. The only thing that's happening is your left arm is swinging.
I've got to be post up. Everything's.
Yep.
When it releases.
Exactly, and you can practice just doing what you just did there. Preset yourself in this impact position so you get used to it, and then just make little swings with your arm to release the club, and then add a little bit of hip movement so as you go back, just kind of, so you don't have to move very far. There you go, to get back into it.
I see.
There you go. Nice, you're doing it perfect. So you feel how your leg in the release.
I've always been late. I mean, it's.
Yeah, you weren't doing anything with it, right?
No, I wasn't.
So now you're learning how to time those two moves together, post up and release. Yeah, and now you're done moving. There you go. Good.
Try it again.
Good. Make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's just getting the coordination.
It's all repetition. You're doing it great. But you
Get
need time in front of a mirror, just doing it over and over again. You'll see right away when your shoulder starts popping up, turning flat, popping up, coming
I'll
down.
know when I see that.
Bingo.
Versus that, I could see where I was supposed to be here,
Yeah.
and I could see here.
Yeah, you'd never be able to get the club out there unless you started really manipulating it with your arms and hands. And so as you do that, then you just start chasing a bunch of Band-Aid fixes after Band-Aid fixes. But just by getting a couple of little fundamentals of this weight shift and hip rotation, it forces the club out on top of the plane with what you're doing. So as you're going to do these drills, you've got a few things to work on, but I've kind of given you like a sequence to go through it, chunking it up, go to top, stop, halfway down, stop, post up, stop, release, stop, and then check all your checkpoints. But then all you need to do is just make those pauses smaller and smaller so they're shorter and shorter. So it starts to blend into one motion instead of making all these chunky, clumsy moves.
Okay.
And then you add the right hand back in and that's your golf swing. It's done.
Okay. It's hard to believe.
What's hard to believe?
That I've been doing it so different and results were not good.
Well, this is how we get good results. We
Yeah.
just make your swing way simpler. And at the end of the day, like I said, you had a lot of great things in your swing. Your path was slightly off. Your plane was slightly to the inside. And so those two things will cause you to chase your tail around forever, because if the club's always going in to out, even if it's just 3 degrees, like for me when I was working with a lot of tour pros and we're doing everything on TrackMan and trying to be super specific, I wouldn't let any of my pros swing in to out or out to in more than 1.5 degrees. If it was more than 1.5 degrees, we knew we were going to be spraying the ball and their nerves got in the way or pressure was on or whatever. So we got everything within a 3-degree spread. And most guys I could get to close to zeroed out, but it doesn't have to be that way. But when you're swinging 3, 4, 5 degrees into out, you're always gonna be chasing it. And then you're always just kind of wondering, like, is that shot there? Where, is it gonna creep up? I got water on the left, oh my God, And then all of a sudden, when you have that type of discrepancy because of the path, it's very, very scary to play golf, because then you start playing army golf when you're swinging into out. You hook one, you block one, you hook one, you block one, and then it's really not fun. So by just making this little change, getting the club out on top of the ball, on top of the plane, you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
It makes a lot of sense to me.
Any questions for me?
Not really, I guess. You pretty much answered them all. Yeah, you gave me a lot to work on. I appreciate you stacking a little more on me now.
Well, this is like the whole thing, right? So you can be able to go from just doing little drills, you're in your house, just making a few reps, just getting comfortable with your shoulder plane, because that's a big change.
So I need to do a lot of mirror work, right? And
I don't do anything without doing it with a mirror, right? It's pointless. You cannot rely on feel. When has your feel ever been accurate, I can't tell how many guys I video their swing who've never looked at their swing. They don't want to look in a mirror. They're like, no, I need to rely on feel. And I show them their swing on video for the first time. They're like, that's not me.
I know. Who is that?
I'm like, well, it's your shirt and your shorts.
Yeah.
So who is it?
Yeah.
That's field players. They think that that mechanics don't apply to them. Mechanics apply to everybody. At the end of the day, the club face needs to be square with a square path, and the ball's going to go where it needs to go, more or less, right?
Yeah.
With somewhat generic, but that's the idea. So no matter how you want to be a field player or whatever, if you don't have that if that path's 3 degrees into out, you're going to spray it. It's just that simple.
Well, I guess the one question I had, at the first we talked about I lose the lag early. Mm-hmm. Is that because of the high left shoulder?
It's both. The left shoulder's part of it, but it's because when you take the club back, you're loading this right arm up right away. Yeah. This right arm can only widen in the downswing. It's the only thing it can do.
Yeah.
So if you load this up by snatching the club back with your wrist and picking it up, the only thing it can do is unload. That's why I said we're going to go keep it straight going back to force your body to turn to move the club.
Okay.
If this stays straight, you don't got a choice but to move your body.
Okay.
And then as you come down,
it'll stay there.
But the trick to creating and maintaining lag is moving your body first, which is why we did that weight shift and hip rotation. Yeah. So now you got all the lag in the world. You need to get rid of it.
Okay.
But you create lag by working on this left side movement. Right. Lag is created by keeping your wrists soft and shifting your weight and rotating your. Really, just the weight shift is more than anything, because the club's still going this way, and you need to change the direction to go that way, right? So as I'm doing that, I can change the direction with my right arm, which is what you were doing. Or I can leave my right arm and let it chill out and shift my weight, and as the weight's going back that way, it's going to force my wrist to bend if they're soft.
Should I feel when this leg is getting straight, right, as soon as I get that weight shifted on it?
Yeah, so as you're going back, you want to think about loading that leg, so you're sitting into it to activate that left side. Right? You want to get some power from that left leg.
Okay.
And then you're going to push up off of it to release the club down.
Okay.
That make sense? Anything else for me?
No. Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to meet a fellow Colorado guy out
here.
It's
nice.
In the middle of Florida.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Well, hopefully this helps you out and gets you going on the right track.
Hope so. You're right. I know it will. I'm anxious to get started, but I'll work on the reps, and before I do it, I'm gonna get it right.
Good.
Next time